Banana and Bears Rugby Pod.
Our two owl people faces have worn off. We're now smiley, happy people. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. It is Anna, myself and Anna, it seems, we answer the phone in the same way we would have laughed at our owl ones answering a phone for decades. And we both look into the phone going, what? What? Because Anna does something. She always has her, or either her phone or her laptop pointing in an obscure direction. And then Anna gets faced with a multitude of questions about ringing into the call or using the Wi-Fi. And so she always comes on the screen with the face of an owl one. But now we're happy. We're happy. I don't know. How are you feeling? How's your week? You look sprightly. Your eyes look good and bright. Have you been getting good sleeps?
I have.
Yeah.
Do you know what's actually after getting better? My mattress is still a disaster, so my back's still fucked from the shitty mattress. However,
We'll get sponsored by Mattress Mick.
I should. Fuck it. Is there a French fella?
Matelas
Michel. Matelas Michel. Mattress Mick. Yeah. I should. But I'm a terrible sleeper. Terrible. I wake up if a mouse farted. And I hate earplugs. And I've tried every type of earplug, the waxy ones, the spongy ones, like the expensive ones. No, tried them all. So I tried recently the loop ones because basically out of options. Like I didn't like I have to try these, but I was so skeptical. Do you know the ones I'm talking about? Have they appeared in your algorithm?
Oh, they have. They have, of course. So they know that,
for gigs and things like that, people wear them at music, concerts and everything.
Yeah.
So I tried them. I bit the bullet and I was like, oh, and I was so skeptical. I was like, these aren't going to work. But now I some nights I'll wake up with them and they'll still be in my ears. So more often than not, I'll wake up and I'll have taken them out in my sleep, but I won't have noticed. But because of the noise on this street and because the fucking man comes to collect the rubbish at 4 a.m. and and clean the street, because I think this street is called like Rue de Pipi.
Oh, lovely. We don't need to be linguists to know that it's the street of piss. Every town has one.
Yeah, this is where I live. That's like, did you see that post? I don't know, it was a rugby lad posted it of the La Rochelle lads training in Corcan, and there was the poster like l'opportunité c'est fucking enorme with ROG's head in the middle. Did you see that?
No.
And it was on Jack Noel's story. Corcan hosted a training session for La Rochelle and they had a poster of ROG's head with saying l'opportunité c'est fucking enorme. And Rugby Lad had translated it being like, oh, great to see the lads out with a sign. And then it puts like in inverted commas, the opportunity is huge. Or the opportunity is fucking huge. And I wrote underneath, like, I don't think you needed to translate that. I think it was understood. Like, I think we got it. So that's like, what did pee-pee?
Yeah, there's times too when you can be sitting too close to the editorial screen in these places where you're like, guys, should we translate this? I think that'd be a really crafty thing to do. You've undermined yourself, lads. You make yourselves look like fucking idiots because humor is in the fact that it's French and English tied into it. Yeah.
So understandable. Yeah. Even though it is actually French words, but people do things like that as well for a bit of clout. So I suppose, maybe it was clout. Alas, I've been sleeping better. I got a tan in Florida. It's earlier mornings, later sundowns. So, the summer's starting to come around.
Yeah.
And it's sunny, even though it's fucking cold today now. I spent all day yesterday at the beach watching the rugby on my laptop and watching things back and everything. But today is fucking cold. But yeah, grand.
Good. It's we have sunshine in between the piss and the rain. So that's.
I was gonna say, what is that sunshine hitting the side of your head there?
It actually is. It's come out now, and I wouldn't have to pull the fucking blind, the soundproofing blind that I have there, but it's I normally only pull it just for wind noise, but the wind. Oh no, the wind's picking up again, so it's sunny and windy outside. So when people wonder why Irish people talk about the weather so much, it's because we have 17 weathers. We have all the weathers.
Mm.
But great, good to hear your. I found, like I said, we we're not endorsing any of these products, but I found that wool blanket and it has changed my life. That and strong CBD tablets.
Wool blanket.
Oh, another level of perfection. It's absolute
Uh,
perfection. You said you like a
Jesus.
heavy blanket, but this is kind of light. Do you remember I was telling
Oh,
you about it?
yes, yes, yes.
Oh Jesus Christ! I can't wait to get under it every evening. It's way too light from what I'm used to, but then you put it on you, it's like, how does it know the perfect temperature immediately? Immediately, hot or cold, it knows the perfect temperature when it's lying on you immediately. I don't know how, but
That's
it
cool. But it's because it comes directly from an animal,
yeah,
like
and it's
animal
cotton
fibers.
cotton wrapped in 100% cotton. Then is the outer layer, so
Okay, yeah,
you can't but breathe right in it, and then because I'm roasting all the time. Like the Persians are cold, everybody's cribbing about it. My hands are always hot. My feet are always hot. Like
yeah.
so inside in bed, I'd be melting other than this thing. But I found CBD tablets, especially after gigs, very, very good. Very good. You
Oh,
don't
very
feel the
cool.
thing is you don't feel anything for CBD. All you do is go, nice. I feel nice. I feel nice. All those things that were raging in my head at 250 miles an hour, they're nice now.
Hmm.
Sleepy time times.
Oh my God, I need some of that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm all right for now. It's just when something's on my mind.
Mm.
Do you know what yeah, just when something's on my mind, it'd probably be eating me up. But I, you're saying there about the wool blanket. I once went to a winter wedding with like a dress with like no, like a
No
boob tube,
shoulders.
like no straps, no shoulders, nothing. So we got duck feather, like
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
what's it called when it's a little, I don't know, I can't remember the word, like
I
a
don't
woman's
expect me to know.
tall, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, one of those, a duck feather thing for your shoulders. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
The heat from it, or like the regulation in the heat from it, I was like the perfect temperature. And it was middle of winter. So that's why when you're saying about the wool blanket, I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. It's because it comes from an animal because
They're class.
the animal made it for themselves, like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. They're pure class. That's basically the bottom line. It was
Evolution is one of the coolest things ever.
oh, don't get me started. Don't get me
I know, I know, I
started.
know.
This will
I
turn into a
know.
completely different podcast altogether. If you get me down the
I know
route of
that's how I feel as well. No, we couldn't. No, no, no. We'll leave evolution for when Ireland don't win a match.
yeah, yeah. So I was very excited. I got because I wasn't traveling to Dublin or to anywhere further like Belfast to Galway. I got my mid-afternoon. Do you know what? By 3 o'clock, I went. I don't care about La Rochelle or Leinster. I don't care. I'm only whatever. And I
Yeah,
just went. I didn't. I actually. And come 10 minutes into the Ireland match, I was like, Lara who? I smelled.
yeah,
I didn't give a fuck. I didn't give
yeah,
one fuck. I was like,
yeah,
I ain't changing over. Not a
yeah.
prayer am I changing over when this match started. And you
Good
see, because
man.
I was gigging in Cork later on, it was beautiful. It was perfect. I tipped away after the game. It was the nicest. Didn't even have to drive fast like I normally do have everywhere. Cruised off in great form after. Oh, it was kind of like a bit of a, did that just fucking happen?
Yeah.
And then cruised on down to a
Okay.
fucking class gig in Cork, packed fucking comedy
Ah,
club.
brilliant.
Oh,
How are they all work?
class parking outside, literally outside the door of the club. Strolled in, met two of my favourite Cork comedians in Paul Crowley and Canadian by originality, James Surgeon, are two great guys. They were on before me. And then just had a fucking belter of a gig.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and just was in great form. Mentioned the rugby and everything. There was two groups of Americans had been out at it. They thought it's the best thing they ever fucking saw in their life. That was their first experience of any rugby ever, ever. And they'd never been to, they knew nothing about rugby and then went to the most awesome atmosphere. What they couldn't get over was just they were got landed in between what would seem like two busloads of like 13-year-old girls. And
Yeah.
the octaves were very high, but they were loving it because they were like, the buzz was good. Like, felt your man was
Oh,
feeling guilty. He was like, I really wanted to go to the bar, but like I don't want to be drinking around kids. It was the only thing. I was like, no, they're
oh,
rugby kids. It's fine. It's fine. He was like, no,
yeah.
But it was very cool to see it from their perspective, like going, this is our first experience of rugby, and we just landed into a moment. They didn't realize it was a momentous occasion that Ireland were turning their season around for the first time in years.
Yes. Jesus, how fucking gas is that? That's brilliant that they obviously saw the ad and then
Yeah,
turned up.
but sure, for nothing. The tickets were for nothing, Anna. They were for
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah, yeah.
Your man said
Yeah, yeah,
he said they were like $10. It's like, okay, conversion rate. It's like, fucking
yeah,
what? They were for
yeah,
nothing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's great too. Um, that's so funny. And then they went to your gig. How did they find out about all these things? They obviously like,
What's on?
l-
What's on
yeah,
in
what's
Cork, I
done?
suppose, yeah. And
That's
sure,
so cool.
for them to jump in, like, it's no distance. That's not a distance for Americans, New York people. Like,
Yeah,
that's not a distance to travel, like, from
yeah,
Musgrave to the comedy club. Like,
absolutely. Jesus, yeah, and Cork people are giving out about it. No, to Musgrave is a bit far away.
they walked
Yeah.
in. They walked in and stopped at like 5 pubs on the way in. It's a lovely walk, sure.
Ah, stop. That's how
And
you do
and
it.
you walk straight, get a quick bite to eat, and then straight up to the comedy club. Uh, hello, class evening. But it was but I was in top. I was in tip top form myself. You know the way you would be after a win. Like you're going.
A good
I was
win like
just
that.
in tip top form. My tea tasted good driving down. Got down
Yeah,
there. My new jokes were landing for some reason. I was like, damn in great form here now. This is good stuff.
yeah.
Uh, so where did you watch it?
Um, because very, I was very emotional all week and all
I knew you
weekend.
would be, and I nearly didn't want to message you because I knew you would be. I knew you would be.
I actually didn't watch it live, and I was like, I actually don't want to know. I don't want to watch it. I want to follow the score so that when I do watch it, I'm prepared for what may or may not happen. And when I was checking the score, I was like,
Did I
oh
I
my
text
God.
you? I think I messaged you. All right for the yeah.
Yes, you did. You did. A few people did. Like, fucking hell. I was texting my sisters who were at it. Um, and I didn't actually watch it. I was too I couldn't. I was too the anthems and everything get me so like, oh no, I couldn't. I was bawling watching it back, even like fucking bawling my eyes out. I couldn't cope. All week I couldn't cope. So I was like, no, do you know what I'll do? I'm gonna go and there was or was I telling you there's a new girl playing with us from Argentina, so and she doesn't know Lars at all. So I brought her to the market, we went for a drink, and then we went to the Argentinian empanadas bar so she could like meet people from home, and then we went out to the La Rochelle Stadium where there was an Espoir match on, which is the academy.
Yeah.
There's an academy match on which was on clashing with the women's game, so I was kind of tracking the start of it, and then obviously the second half of the La Rochelle game because it was so cool. It was lovely and sunny. They put on the under-20s game, and then right afterwards, the pro game started. So people sat in their seats in the stadium, or they went into the bar
And
and
where
could
did it?
watch it on the big
Oh,
screen.
the big screen inside. Oh,
Yeah,
brilliant!
and it
Just
tunneled
such
out
good.
yeah, they had like Bordeaux and Harlequins on it as well, like at halftime in the Espoir match. Like it was just fucking very cool. And it was sunny. So it was so cool. Everyone was
Yeah.
sitting out. I was like, this is such a great idea. Only thing is that obviously all the seats are pointed at the pitch. So you have to kind of turn
I
slightly
was
just to
just
watch
thinking, where's a whole lot of you kind of looking up the field a small bit, like.
Yes. Yeah, a small bit, which is kind of funny, but it was great. It was worth it. And like there was a little shout out, like I didn't really understand it because the commentators talk a little bit too fast for me at times, so I didn't really grasp it. But it was like, oh, they're all watching over in Stade Marcel Flandre, and everyone went, "Way!" It was
Oh,
pure
great.
Irish moment, the pure Irish moment of like, I don't know, they're all watching down in Kitty O'Shea's, and
Oh,
everyone,
Jesus.
woo, you know. But it was so okay. So what do we talk about first?
Um, First of all, I think a pat in the back for both of ourselves in a smug way because last week we both had witchy vibes and we both went, I could see a fucking win here. I could see a win. We both had the
Your
vibes.
Yeah, your witchy vibes are stronger than mine now, I must say, because I was
Yeah, you're being
although
realistic.
well, yeah, and I
I'm
was
a
yeah,
dreamer.
but actually, but I wasn't wrong either. What I said was like, if Wales don't turn up, which is possible because they'd already been playing like shit. But also, you know, we can't just say, oh, Wales didn't turn up. Like, Ireland just didn't allow them to turn up at all.
But you came out with a great phrase. You said, whatever about skills, they may whatever take a couple of weeks to be. We said mentality can be changed overnight, and clearly you could see they had a rocket up their hole. Like from the second they went out onto the pitch, like this wasn't like a second half first try bullshit or like 35 minutes in. This was that try was coming from a few minutes on the goal. Like they were dogged.
Yes. But I also think that the first minute and a half for Wales, I think that Wales were relying on this to be the one that they were going to win.
Right.
I think they were complacent. And in the first minute and a half, they took the ball, won a penalty, kicked for touch, won territory, got them all going, and then were kind of unlucky not to score. In the first minute and a half, I actually think like that solidified their complacency, and they never, from that first fiery minute and a half, it solidified their complacency, and they never got back into it.
What, like, so that you're thinking, oh, we'll get this again. We'll get this again. It'll be grand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And like, you know, then Ireland, the first carry they had, the fucking crowd got into it, which was on the 2-minute mark, do you know? Like, so Ireland were like, they took all their opportunities from that moment on. Just like the crowd were loving it. Like, in fair play to the fucking crowd, you know, like how difficult last year was, and they just kept turning up to all the matches, and same again this year. And you know, that's always the way. Like, if your team is doing poorly or struggling, like if you keep turning up to the matches, like eventually they're going to win.
Yeah.
And my sister said that at full time, not one person budged.
Go away.
Everyone stayed, meeting the players, autographs, taking pictures, singing, and just, you know, celebrating like the win. So how great is that? But yeah, I just like the fact that I knew what was happening then when I was watching it. I was still like, oh my God, this is so brilliant. They just played so well. And I did the Left Wing podcast, which is we don't have as much banter on it as we do here. That's one of the nerdy ones. But it's great, like, because I do it with Sinead Kassan and Ali Donnelly, who are fucking brilliant.
Yeah, they know their stuff, like, Jesus. I've listened in.
Yeah. And it was just so nice. And like, without trying to kind of get carried away in the moment, but also really enjoying the moment as well, like of being able, like, we did Left Wing all last season, all this season, and just been waiting for a time to be like, fucking yes, like, this was so good. And you know, Sinead, the first thing she asked me was like, why, what was it? And I said, you know what, I said, if I can group them together, and there's actually more people I'd put in the group as well, but just the names that came to my head initially were Dan O'Brien,
Aoife
Wafer, and Katie Corrigan. I know Katie Corrigan's still kind of growing into it, but that kind of fearlessness she had around that.
Yeah, that's stride. She nearly, but when sorry to cut across, what she reminded me of was nearly like, do you remember when you saw the likes of like Andrew Conway show up first, or Luke Fitzgerald? You were like, who the fuck is this guy? But it's that naivety built in. They're going, it's a beautiful thing where there's no hang-ups. Give me the fucking ball. I'll go. I'll just go. You know what I mean? There's whatever her rareness or whatever coaching she got prior, it's ingrained in her. Give me the fucking ball, coach.
But also this kind of just this like fearlessness of like not, you know, when I remember like playing England at one stage and being just so kind of hung up on how good they were that we didn't even play.
Yeah.
You know, we not just me, the whole team, we were just so static and just accepting how good England were. Like, there was just no acceptance of the fact that Wales on paper are streets ahead of us, really, realistically.
They're in different bloody, they're literally in a different league than us.
Two
different
leagues above.
Two up.
2 leagues above us. So, you know, just the fact of getting up in someone's face. Now, the Welsh 10, God, she's a fantastic player, Claky George, and they were all giving out on Twitter about the pronunciations of all the Welsh names. from the commentary team. But anyway, she's a fantastic because I played with her in Gloucester. Brilliant 10. She's not your traditionally shaped 10 because she's kind of stronger build. So she kind of has had a hard time getting in, like making the role hers because of that reason. She's brilliant, and Jesus, she's sunbooting her. But she's young, and you know, that's what Ali Donnelly said on the podcast. She was like, you know, if you're Ireland, how do you prep for this game? And, you know, she made the point, like, just getting up in her face and Katie George's face. So if that message, if that's, you know, Katie Corrigan sees her on the ball and she just runs up and shuts it down and blocks the kick, like, just fair play. But, like, Katie Corrigan's won them, but, like, Dan O'Brien, fucking hell.
Yeah. A real deal number 10, like.
And she seems a bit quiet, so I wasn't so sure about how much she'd be able to kind of drive the game, you know, and drive the forwards around her, in front of her, and then organise the backs, etc. But Jesus, she's doing a phenomenal job. There's not a huge amount of organising to do out the backs because they kick it so often, it's winning territory, but it's working.
Yeah.
It won't work against England next week. They're going to need to go back to the drawing board slightly, but whatever. We'll talk about that later. But do you know what? Like, she'll never have a problem with the shot clock. Because she literally just up, bang.
I love that. Like Ben Healy. Just such confidence. Like, just up, crack it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know there's like Dan Bigger shit of like dancing and process? Like, yeah, fuck off. Sorry now. She just up. Obviously, when it's a little bit more complex, she takes a little bit more time, but bang over, runs away. And I love this thing about, I think I've definitely talked to you about this before. I remember playing for Richmond years ago. And we were doing not well in the league, and Saracens were top of the league. And Saracens came to play us, and we scored a try early on. And the way we celebrated, I'm sure I've spoken to you about this before, the way we celebrated pissed me off so much because it was so obvious that we didn't expect this to happen. And it was such a reminder for the other team, like, this really shouldn't be happening.
Yes.
This is reminding us, like, how shit they are. By the big wide eyes, like first minute, like none of that from Ireland. I was so glad to see it, and especially from those young players. Like, yes, smile and hug and take your moment, but instantly turning around and running back for your next fucking job. I can't tell you how enjoyable that is to watch. Like, especially when, you know, you it's been so hard to be an Irish player, like in the last like 2, you know, fucking Six Nations now. You might get to that point where you're like, enjoying the tries so much that you forget the bigger picture. Like, but not for 1 second did they take their eye off the ball, and they fucking went the whole way through to win it at such a scoreline. I'm fucking delighted.
Isn't that some, when you think about the detail that must be going into them? So if even you're thinking to that detail as a coach, you're like, oh, by the way, when you are winning and you're scoring tries, enough is enough. Like, get back. Your mentality is, because that must have been spoken about here. Enough of backslapping now when we get it, you know, when we're going over for a try, back up the field and we go again. Do you know?
Maybe, but maybe it's their nature as well. Maybe, I don't know. And maybe it's coming from the leadership as well. And I must say, like, having Tricky back on the pitch, and her and Sam co-captaining together, I thought was just brilliant. And God, like, you know, getting, it's just what I wanted to see was to see like the two of them on co-captaining together, and then seeing Cleena Maloney come on the pitch, like, I was bawling.
Well, yeah,
bawling.
I was wondering. Yeah,
I was completely bawling, crying. You just can't believe it, everything that happened and everything that's gone on since, and how it was just such a revolution at the time. And I tried so hard to kind of forget about it and move on as well after a while, and I kind of thought I had, but this week just brought it all back to the surface. And just hugely emotional, and I just can't believe they fucking won in the manner they did. It was fucking brilliant.
It puts the cat amongst the pigeons now, doesn't it? I mean, you have to sit up and pay attention now if you're whoever's coming, you know, who's coming next. Like, it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, this wasn't a clincher at the death, you know, drop goal bullshit. They absolutely fucking wiped the floor with Wales. Like, they dragged them up and down the field. Like, and everybody was on it. A big thing that I noticed was the evolution, as we almost got into, but the evolution of their organization in just in 2 weeks. They like their realignment out the back for a mix of forwards and backs, and painting messy pictures for the opposition,
Mm.
and coupled with is it Riley? Is there the number 9? She's fucking
Mm.
rock, and a
Yeah.
great pass off the ground.
Yeah.
It gave her mad options everywhere, and
Yes.
it just where that wasn't there. They were so static and predictable 2-3 weeks
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
They've completely transformed.
Yeah. But it's almost like using the same shape, but like diversifying your options. So
Yes,
actually the same base was there, had already been there, but now it's like, using the tip on pass a bit more, using the out the back pass a bit more, just varying it to make it harder for the defense. So yeah, I agree with that. Oh, just it is like, so we've England next. So
mm.
in one way, I'm like, fuck, you couldn't have done with a better prep now to be going into England. Or are you a bit like, shit, I hope now this doesn't knock them sideways a small bit and then they're a bit fucked coming into Scotland, like fucked injury wise or fucked in terms of plan, because they're going to have to change how they play a little bit, because you cannot kick to that English back three.
I suppose we're only looking at it now, but as a team and a coaching staff, they're not looking at it just now either. They would have looked at it a couple of weeks ago, going, "All right, what's the plan for these bastards? Because they're class. We
True,
can't be booting the ball to them." I mean,
true. But
they're not going to throw that plan out the window after I think what it does is it reaffirms anything a coach would be saying or teammates would be saying to each other, that, no, I swear to God we're class. I swear to God we're class. And now you're going with your tails up in against England, and England are going to have to sit up and pay attention now, rather than just
yeah,
choosing which studs they're going to put on the boots this week. Oh, who are we
yeah.
playing? Oh, Grant Ireland. Grant. It's not going to be
They're
that now.
they're unbelievable though, England.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So it's on in Twickenham. There'll be at least 50,000 people there, because there are 44,000 tickets sold already. So it'll be, one of the biggest women's attended matches of all time. So the record came from the Twickenham game last year in England versus France. So I don't know. I don't know if they'll break that record. Maybe not, because it's not a big. It's very likely that way more likely that England will win than last year. But Jesus, they're fucking unbelievable, and they can decide how they want to play.
Yeah.
Because they can just, like, the offloading game is unbelievable. So I'd say they come off the pitch fresh as fuck, because they don't have to take contact, or they don't have to hit rocks, because they're fucking offloading all the time and passing and out the back, and you have millions of options, and the back three just run it in. But like, that is not great for them either. Like, I honestly wanted to say this as well in the other podcast, but it's hard to get to it. Like, this whole, like, getting up for a match, if you're like trying to win, if you're like, I want to fucking win this one, it brings out this extra, naturally it
Of
brings out
course it
this
does.
kind of demon in you. England just don't have to feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're so far ahead of everyone. It's honestly why they lost the World Cup final, because that feeling of like, fuck, I want to win, is so far beyond them, that when it came down to like the wire, they couldn't handle it. Like, and it's not just the players. Like, there was a few different factors around it, but because they got a red card in the World Cup final last year. But I would have said England with 14 players could still beat any team in the world. They made some like early substitutions and different things like that, but they just they're not used to fucking tight fixtures. I think they'll steamroll France as well, because unless you can force the shit to hit the fan a little bit for England, then that's when they don't know what to do. But it's just so hard to bring them down to your level, because they're so fucking good. I'm a bit scared for the weekend, but I'm also excited to see. Like what I was saying about like Dan O'Brien, Niamh Wafer, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
In, do their job, roll around, fucking turn around, run away. Like, I'm excited to see a bit of that. Like,
There's no good or bad kind of who's coming next, because you're going to say, well, you're going to
Mm.
find pros and cons with it. I mean, I go back to fighter analogies all the time, and if you've just won an unbelievable battle and won it well, what do you want next? You don't want
Mm.
a journeyman, like. Do you know
Mm.
what I mean? You
Yeah, yeah,
don't,
yeah,
like, as on a personal point of view, we're fans watching on going, I want them to win forever and everybody be shit. But you know what I mean? As a player in the team, you're going, bring it on, bring it the fuck on. Like, you know,
oh yeah.
I love
No,
because they're just 15 women too, you know?
yeah. No, realistically, like whenever I played England, there was never a realistic chance of beating them. And you weren't going to like undermine, you weren't going to be naive in your prep. So it was really hard to prep when you're kind of trying to say, like, we know we're not going to win.
So
That was
you're
never
just
said.
mitigating the loss
You're
as
being,
best you can, like.
yeah, but you actually do believe it. You do believe like that you could win because you're prepping your mind, like, but you're not focused on winning, you're focused on your job, and like, God, if I do my job really well, as well as the 14, 22 other girls that are here, 23, like, God, could we win? But you're relying on, England to not turn up at all, which
Yeah.
was just so unlikely. So it's a hard place to be, but also it's always fucking enjoyable because there's almost a bit of pressure off then as well, and you just do your job as best you can. And playing in Twickenham, like, yeah, I'm excited to see. I want them to enjoy it, even though I think the last time, the last time Ireland played England at Twickenham, and now the same isn't going to happen, so I don't feel like I'm jinxing this. It was the most. They ran out of ambulances. It was the most people that ever came through, like the doctor's surgery in Twickenham. I'm saying the doctor's surgery, like the medical room, was the most injuries in any match ever, or something fucking
What?
like that. Yeah, yeah. Oh, someone burst their like abdomen. It
Oh my
was all
God.
Irish players as well. It was
Yeah, of
all
course.
Irish
Yeah,
players,
yeah.
like one after the other after the other. So someone like fucking Keir Griffin ended up in the wing or something crazy like that. But it was just nuts. Like, it was the most highest number of
Jesus.
injuries. Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't see it with the I hate using the word naivety, but it's kind of the glorious youth where you just like I don't see it because I don't know, did you ever play camogie? Did you ever play hurling?
When I was very young, I did, yeah.
There's there's kind of a great analogy built into hurling that the harder you rip into your opponent, the less likely you are to get hurt. Which is it
Yeah,
kind of didn't make sense, but the closer you get in, the harder you crack that, you swing
absolutely.
that you won't get the stinger up through the whatchamacallit. There's less chance of actually taking a slap of the hurley. And it's kind of the same analogy seems to spin out in business, in everything. It seems to spin out the same way that the harder you rip into it, not the less likely, but there's a low level of you getting busted. Do you
Yep.
know? So I just feel
But that,
the way
yeah.
they looked the last day, I was like, Jesus Christ, if they could now they won't get Wales the Wales level defense standing back and try, with their mouths agog. I'm guessing there's going to be a hard press defense on them. But cuteness could at least keep them in the game and make a game
Yeah.
of it. Do you know?
That's what I was saying. Do you know what you'd need? What kind of an approach you need is like Italian men's team
Yeah,
of finding something
yeah.
that you can fucking just pull on their ponytails a small bit in like,
But I
something that is their plan. I was thinking like the offloads that they do, like, could you get into that channel and could you try and maybe intercept a few of those
well,
offloads
if
and make
Corrigan
them
gets
doubt the
through,
offload?
there's nobody catching her if she gets through. Like, Jesus, what? She's tall. She's actually
Mm.
when she jumped up after the try, I was like, Jesus Christ, you're taller than
Yeah,
everybody. Do you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
You ain't
yeah.
catching her if she bursts through. Just why not go for it? If they're going for
Mm.
these offloads and maybe you could sell them small, play possum a small bit and let them have the soft offloads for a few phases and go, "Eh, we got him. Do you
Mm.
know, like let them have a bit of space, a small bit,
Yeah.
and then
England
go for
did
it.
get a red card last week, actually. Or sorry, one player got two yellow cards and then got a red.
What she do?
The first one was she lifted someone above horizontal, but it wasn't dangerous, so she got a yellow. Second one was high tackle, kind of head on head contact, so high kind of level of danger and tackle, so she got yellows. I don't know if the second yellow was upgraded to a red, but like, they had 14 men and they still wiped the floor with Scotland, and Scotland beat Wales.
Yeah.
So, so let's see. Fuck it. Who cares? Like, I just want them to enjoy it because they deserve that as well.
I did think I liked there was an aggressiveness in the pass, and it was Parsons' try out in the wing. By the time it got to her, it was like, oh, everybody be nice and aggressive during like good strong handoffs, like not like, oh,
Yeah.
hope I get through this, hit the deck and roll back, present the ball, I did my job. Fuck that. It was
Mm.
like, nah, nah, you
Yeah.
ain't having this. I'm going.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you could the attitude. But you talk about the crowd. What I love about the crowd is they never shut off. There isn't a
Mm.
lull. There's a base level of and then it just
Yeah.
goes
Yeah. Yeah.
fucking up every
I
time somebody
know. It's
makes
like
a
they're
break.
all competing with each other to make noise, which is exactly what
Brilliant.
you want.
It's why schools rugby have whole practices. Like the
Yes.
boys, the Dublin schools boy school, like they actually practice their
Cheerleading.
chants and
Yeah.
cheerleading and everything because it
Yeah.
adds
Yeah. Yeah.
so much more to the team.
Oh yeah. Have you seen two things I want to say about this now. First of all, have you seen those videos of the South African teams practicing their chants?
Oh my God. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
South African schools, I
The
should say. It's
schoolboys. Yeah. Yeah.
unbelievable. Fuck, I'd love to have something like that. Second thing is the brass band at the France-Italy game was one of the best brass bands I've ever heard ever.
I didn't
Like
see. I
the
didn't pick up on it at all. All I've
oh,
watched. All I've
did you
watched is
watch France-Italy on Sunday?
no, no, no. I was
Oh
gone
yeah.
again. Yeah, I was gone again for hosting another
It
fucking thing.
was it was important for two reasons. Number one was the brass band. Number two was it was Joy Neville's last game as
Yes.
a rep. So and she did a brilliant job. It was actually just of and congrats to her. It's such a shame to see her retire because I thought she was brilliant.
Yeah, and she's
And
still young. Why is she packing it in? I guess she's got another career lined up. Yeah, I
And it's
assume.
a
Yeah.
long God, it's so tough and it's refereeing's so tough, like and she's got family now and small kids and stuff. So she just time to pack it in. But I mean, you're almost better off leaving refereeing on a high like that as well, aren't you? So she was great, but I was like, oh my God, this brass band is unbelievable. What were they playing? I need to find out because someone was asking me then, like, what's the story with the brass bands? It's like I actually need to find out as well, like from a real like French person here in La Rochelle, like what's the story of the brass bands? Like,
Yeah.
does the club pay for them? Does the stadium pay for them? Who brings them in? But they were unbelievable at that
Okay, I'm
game. I
gonna
was
go watch
listening
the
to them.
extended highlights because I was watching just before we come on. I
Oh
watched the
yes,
highlights of Ireland again, but it was just the
yes.
highlights. But they had the extended highlights of the other games, so they're like 12, 13 minutes. So I'll definitely pick up on it. I like that's class. That's class. Do you know
Yeah.
what though? The French and Italians, they fucking do it well. I don't know if we'd be able to do it well. If you know, like I don't know if we would. Like we don't have a tradition of it. I don't know what we could introduce. Like, do you
We
know?
definitely could do something. We could definitely achieve something, but it needs to be led. That's the
Yes.
problem.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
I felt like remember when Tommy Bowe sang Black Velvet Band
Yeah.
at the homecoming of it. At one of the following games, the crowd started to sing that, and I was thinking, like, oh my God, because Tommy Bowe was playing, maybe it was a Munster, and was he still playing for Ospreys at the time? I think he was. And it was a Munster Ospreys game, and the Munster crowd started singing Black Velvet Band to kind of take the piss out of him. But
Oh, I
I was like,
remember it. And he was laughing on the sideline. I remember, yeah,
yeah,
he was aware of it. Like,
yes, but I was like, this could take off. But if you started singing Black Velvet Band again at a Munster match, other people, instead of joining in, they'd laugh at you
yeah,
because they'd be afraid to be laughed at if they joined in.
yeah.
So
It needs a
it,
prominent you're right, it needs a prominent
it
figure to have
needs
set
to
out the
be
stall.
led. It needs to be led, and it needs to have people join in regardless.
Dennis Leamy's
Because
quite
if
a
you're
good
leading,
singer, if I remember correctly.
who?
Dennis Leamy's quite a good. I don't know if he'd step out of the coaching box and pick up the mic. It'd be interesting at
But it
halftime,
needs
wouldn't it?
some. Definitely something that could be done because once Irish people get past that whole
Oh,
sure, look at your man kind of a thing. We're
look at my
brilliant at
job. Look at
singing.
my job, Anna. Like the people look on and like I'm doing something amazing. It's just only because if anybody else picked up a mic, they go, "So you're fucking your man." But because I've been billed
Yeah.
as somebody who's coming in to do it, I'm still just your man. They go, "Oh
Yeah,
well,
yeah. No,
we fully accept what he has to say." But if their
yeah.
mates tried to do it, they go, "Ah, for fuck's sake, sit down, will you?" Do you know? Bless you.
Excuse me.
Gesundheit. What's bless you in French?
At this way.
At this way.
Yeah, which actually is funny because I never say it because I always say bless you. It's one of the only things that I'll say in English, like in the club, because I always think I'm going to say aswete, which is the reverse of what it should be. So it's funny that you asked me that because I was only talking about this with someone else and I was like, okay, bless you, because I'm afraid to say it wrong. There you go.
Right. Well, I heard, yeah, a sweaty armpit.
At this way. At this way, I think. Anyway,
So anyway, like before we like wrap up with some news, I suppose, in bits and pieces, and we talk about the La Rochelle implosion.
yes, go.
I'm not saying my witchy vibes are tingling, but I think Ireland will. I don't think there'll be an ambulance queue again in this match. I hope we can push him into the 60, 70-minute mark where it's still a game.
Yes.
Amazing if they won. I mean, the ground would open up and eat Twickenham if Ireland won. But from a reality point of view, fuck it, I'm a dreamer, Anna. I'd say we might win by 3 points.
Fucking hell. Jesus.
Last minute drop goal, Dana. And then Dana turns around. Dana gets to sing No, what was her song? What was her song
Yeah.
from?
Yeah,
No,
all kinds of everything.
All Kinds of Everything from the Eurovision. Dana needs to start that. She's literally called Dana.
I know.
She
Do
does
you know
it.
why Tricky? Do you know why Tricky's called Tricky?
Go on.
You know Tricky? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Because on the other podcast, I have to say Adele because it's a podcast for nerds.
Yeah.
So,
well, proper anoraks would know nicknames. So.
Well, that's true as well. I don't feel so professional when I feel like someone like, someone like who does that? There's some pundits that use
Matt
like
Williams does it all the time. Like, and
I
then
feel like a bit of
he
Matt
puts
Williams.
he puts like E at the end of words, like Robbie Carney. He was so me, and nobody in the world has ever called him Robbie Carney. Yeah.
No, that I'd feel like Matt Williams if I started calling Tricky on the nerdy podcast. But anyway,
right.
Don't mind sounding like Matt Williams over here, but Tricky is called Tricky because when she came to play in Galwegians, they asked her to sing a song, and the only song she knew, she learned it from like, one of those things you have when you're younger, like a microphone,
it's a
kind of a pop star.
Yes, yeah.
Thing. That's the only thing she knew, and she does it so well.
Go on.
It's
Tricky
I met this little girlie.
No way, by Run DMC. Oh my god.
Oh yes. And she said she sang it about 20 times that night because everybody kept asking for her, but no one could remember her name. They were all just calling her Tricky. So
perfect. That's a perfect way to get a nickname. Like, yeah, perfect. I remember hearing like some are terrible. Poor old Ronan O'Mahony turned up to training day 1 in Munster apparently, and like Archer just looks at him. What's your name? He goes, Ronan O'Mahony. Did you say Ronan O'Mankey? Mankey it is then, and that was his nickname forever. And there's Peter O'Mahony standing right beside him, going, "Yeah, you're Mankey."
Yeah.
no saving at all.
Yeah, but it's so. I played rugby in Mallow with a girl called Hot Pants because she used to wear really short shorts, and Hot Pants just stuck. It just stuck, like, no pun intended, but such a like complicated nickname. And then we tried to make nicknames stick for other people, and they just wouldn't. So shout out to Hot Pants if she's listening. And then the coach one day said, refer to her as Hot Pants. We were all laughing.
Anyway. Nicknames get even funnier the older people get, like, and the less reference there is to them. Like, because when Hot Pants, like in 50 years' time, gets to be an old lady, and you run into her like, Seven Hot Pants.
And I love when it becomes so like, not piston rain.
Of course it is.
Oh, hell. Hasn't rained here in about a week. Anyway, when like it just becomes like normal parts of the conversation, like, oh yes, God, I met Hot Pants there, and like something really serious happens. That's kind of on the same level as, when like I love this is one of my favoriteest things ever. I was speaking about it last year when I lived in Spain, and everyone dressed up and they're unbelievable at fancy dress. And they all
Yes.
meet up and they're like, whoa, all like dancing and enjoying each other's fancy dress. And then there comes a point where you sit down and you catch up with your friends, like, so how are you? And like there's just this big octopus sat at a table and chatting to his friend. I'll never get the image out of my head yet. It's not the biggest serious face, and it's like, yeah, 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 yeah. This big octopus, fucking unbelievable. It's like on the same level.
So what were you
Anyway,
saying
that
about
was
Tricky? You were talking about Tricky, and then I took you off down the route of nicknames. Then
I don't know what I was saying about her.
we, I mean, okay. I think we were rounding
Uh,
up. We were rounding up. It was obviously. I mean, she did unbelievable input at the weekend. But was there anything particular that you wanted to point out before we got on
no,
to um?
no,
Well, La Rochelle playing at the weekend. They were playing Leinster. It was it was the Leinster show, really, wasn't it?
yeah. It was, it was like, La Rochelle haven't been playing well at all. Like
Yeah,
the
you.
scrape, the scraped through. I was waiting on a bit of a like a rocket up their arse because it was Leinster, but it was less likely than more likely, if that makes sense. So yeah, I wasn't too surprised. I was disappointed. It was great watching it at the stadium, like, and it was great support and it was very exciting. But Jesus, there's awful animosity though between like
Oh, oh,
ROG and Leinster, and didn't he start waving at the camera or something? And everyone was booing at
yeah, yeah,
him
yeah,
or
yeah.
something like
But
that. I didn't catch that.
yeah, there was booing apparently. But to show the sign of the man, he waited at the tunnel and shook hands with every one of the Leinster players. Do you know, you're
Hmm.
like, yeah, okay, that was a cool enough move. But the takeaway I had from the whole thing, I mean, as you talk about rocket up the arse, Leinster had all the rockets up their arse because they've been so hurt by La Rochelle that
Hmm.
that was their final. Do you know what I mean? In a way, like I know
Hmm.
I worry
Yeah,
for Leinster that that was their final, that they absolutely emptied the emotional tank there. But
yeah, it could
I mean,
be.
they got enough professionals that they should kick on. But one of the takeaways that and we'll get onto that in a second because things are getting Jesus, they're getting was Will Skelton hugging Ron Nogar. People go find that picture. Ron Nogar isn't a small man. He's not a tiny person. Like he's maybe 5'10", 5'11", maybe I don't know. Is he 6 foot? I don't know, but he's a normal size human. And it literally looks, if you've ever seen the movie Rampage with with The Rock and his friend the
Hmm.
gorilla, George, that transforms because of that, as I'm told by my little fella, some sort of toxic waste comes out of the ground and basically
Hmm.
transforms him into a jumbo monster guy, gorilla. That is essentially Will Scott. Where did they who makes the jerseys to go onto that? And I say jerseys because three jerseys are used to go onto that man. He's
Hmm.
fucking humongous human. Like it's
Hmm.
him hugging a child, a grey-haired child.
I know. Child Benjamin Button.
This little tiny father Ted. He's reaching down and he's giving him a big hug.
Ronan Button.
Ronan Buttons. There's a nickname now. Go on, Rog.
Benjamin Button. Rog Button. Yeah, I know. And he's such a gentle giant. I was actually skitting laughing because um the Alton Delan posted a video on his story of them all singing Fields of Athenry on the
Yeah.
bus. And Skelton's sitting in the front seat, which is the worst leg room. I was like, why is he sitting there? It was just so funny. He's sitting sideways. How does he fit on a plane?
Oh my
Like,
God. Oh my God. Like, but is it safe
yeah,
to have a man that size on one side of the plane? Do they just have to sit him in the aisle? Like, is it?
yeah.
He's three people. Like, his arm was the size of Ronan's head. It's like, what in the name of God? Like,
His brothers are bigger than him, apparently.
what?
Yeah. But his brothers were, do you know, you see these videos of like these kids that go like rampaging through all the small kids, like handing them all off and stuff. Um, I'd say like that because his brothers they didn't play rugby because they were too big.
Jesus Christ. Can you? Oh my God. Can you?
Yeah.
Sure, it's like they talk about the greatest. Well, I don't think there's an argument with the Tuolagi family are probably the greatest rugby family, and everybody
Yeah.
goes, "Oh yeah, Henry, the most terrifying human. Like he's about 6 foot across, and that's not a joke. Like people, if you've never seen Henry Tuilagi and you're a fair weather rugby fan, just type it into YouTube, and it may actually come up with a warning of physical damage to people. His son, it's Henry's son, is Pasolo, that's playing for France now.
Ah,
But
jeez.
apparently, when they were all asked, they all have the big family cookout, and they were sitting around. They were going, "Who's the fastest?" Okay, we know who the strongest is, and there's Manu, and there's another brother I think who plays with Tonga or Samoa. Who's the fastest? And it's their sister. Do you know their sister is a trans?
Oh
They
yes.
have a trans sister.
That's right.
It's a thing in Samoa.
Samoan culture. Yes,
Whereas
that's right.
apparently it's just a given that often if it's kind of under their, I don't know, is it a religious based thing or whatever, but um when you have 6 sons or something, a certain amount of sons, and you're like, I have enough sons now. We want a daughter. We'll raise her
Yeah.
as a girl. And
Yeah.
they're called Fau Fau. And there's a whole bunch of them. They have a festival, a Fau Fau festival and everything. But because they're island people, you she has enormous shoulders and but apparently is a fucking bullet. A bullet
Would
without can beat
would
them all.
she not? She wasn't allowed to play rugby then, I suppose.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But it's like it's an accepted thing in the community. Like there's Fau Faus everywhere.
Yeah.
Do you know? So you're
Yes.
like, oh, you got the
Yes.
Fau, you're a Fau
Yeah.
Fau, cool.
But I wonder now that like women's rugby and like Samoa has an international team and stuff, are you allowed to play rugby then as if you have
Uh,
that
d-
role within your family, or is that even permitted? Because World Rugby have said that trans women, not trans people, trans women can't play rugby at all.
it is.
Um,
It's a kind of a terrifying prospect. That's the only thing, and we're not getting into these weeds. But
God,
like
talk
she
about
while she's acceptable as in their culture, which is fantastic, and we accept that she's a woman. But that's a big lady. Like that's Henry Tuilagi's sister slash biologically was born a man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Those are
No, no.
there's some male genes in there that
No,
would
I'm just wondering if they do play rugby. It just
yeah.
like what do you do then? Like
It'd be
yeah,
great
Henry.
to set up a league if they have just enough, because it seems to be a very very
Yeah.
frequent thing. Jesus Christ.
Um. Anyway, but there was also a lovely picture of Rowan O'Gara with James Lowe and James Lowe's baby.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
sorry, this wasn't always a thing of all the kids running around and all
No.
the kids, the players running around. It's become a real. Actually, sorry, Paul O'Connell alluded to this recently when he said that playing rugby now is way nicer. Like it used to be very tough and you had to be like, and angry and like
Mm.
non-emotional all the time. It's become very nice where you can share how you're feeling to be able to get the most out of you as a player. He said playing rugby now is way nicer. So that's definitely part of it as well. Like all the kids that should be running around the pitch after the game, like this
Oh,
wasn't always a thing.
it's as wild as lorries they get to run around. It's great. It's low. Do you know it adds another element to even
Definitely.
content for TV producers? They're going, fucking great. Look
Oh
how
yeah, oh,
happy
they're
these little
loving that.
kids are. There's nothing
Yeah.
but gore. It's hilarious. Like you look, you look at Andrew Porter, and you're like, Jesus Christ, you, you're bleeding from everywhere. Cut away quickly.
Yeah.
Look, there's an adorable child chasing a string. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, this is the best
Yeah,
content ever.
I know. They're
And
so
TV
cute.
producers are going for like every second they can keep you on their channel is worth money. So they're going,
Mm.
great, give me more of this stuff. Like, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's very interesting. I wonder is it the Andy Farrell effect or maybe World Rugby is kind of coming into because even speaking as we were talking before this, I was speaking with somebody from a rugby organization and the very warm, loving way he spoke about um the players and team. It was like it took me
Mm.
aback because I was like, oh, I hadn't been,
Yes.
I'd had no input. Genuinely, I've had no input to a team of any sort really in 15 years. But to hear it,
Yeah.
because the abrasive ways I thought of rugby, but
Yeah, exactly.
it was very warm. It was very nice
Well,
to
no,
hear. It was
it's
like,
a
that's
new style of coaching completely, and it's lovely. Like,
good.
if you consider the good quality of rugby alongside this whole family kind of wholesome element, like fucking yeah. But I was at a match in Durban, and it was Easter weekend, and at the end of the match, this was so cool. They organized all of the kids into age groups, and in every corner of the pitch there was an Easter egg hunt, and all the players were still on the pitch, and all the kids ran on and had an Easter egg hunt, and like they didn't give a fuck about the players because they were obviously looking for chocolate. So, and then all the family comes on. Like I went on the pitch and I met like fellas that I knew from years ago from Barbarians. Like they were all still on the pitch and everyone was around, and there was no like, it was so nice. I wish we did that in Ireland. Like invite the kids on and then family can come on or whoever, and like, you know, have something like what they said they do it every weekend. Everyone goes onto the pitch after and all the players stay there. How cool is that?
That's it, making a proper community event of the whole thing. Win, lose, or draw, you're like, kids are getting chalky. So, it's always going to be class if that's the end result. I suppose we'll finish with Leinster and how in the name of Christ they pulled this deal off. Oh my God, people. And his face just winced up into fucking fine. You just pulled a face that went, fine, we'll talk about
it. Someone had a thread going today. Who was it? Over the Hill prop.
Right.
Follow that person? I think it was them. Basically saying, I'll take that back because I don't want to put words in people's mouth if I have the wrong Twitter account. But basically saying, the IRFU, it's so much easier for them to have one really good province, and then if there's any gaps, fill it in with the other players from other provinces, because then going from Leinster into Ireland it's just one swift move, and it can, like, you can achieve things a lot quicker if you have one dominant province.
Probably.
And I've been trying so hard not to believe that this is really real, and it's just the way things have gone now with the schoolboy rugby and how many Leinster fellas are around and all the rest. But I was like, oh my God, this actually makes so much sense.
Yeah. If you think like Ulster have one centrally contracted player, Ian Henderson, you know what I mean? Like they have
so does Munster and so does Connacht.
So you have to
Bundy, Tadhg Byrne and Ian Henderson are the only centrally contracted players outside of Leinster. So it is a bit fucked up, but this is leading into what you're saying. And then they sign someone like Geordie Barrett.
Yeah. When they already have Hugo Keenan. Jesus Christ. Oh, Orgy Snyman. I thought you were only allowed one non-Irish qualified player. That was my question. I thought you were only allowed one. Maybe I'm wrong. Is it two? Because I thought it was only one.
But no, because we couldn't keep Orhia because of
John Klein.
Yeah. Is there another one? Do we have another Fodder?
I don't think we have another Fodder. I don't know. I thought it was one. Maybe it's two then. I don't know. It must be two.
It must. The pitch. So you've put Geordie Barrett on for RG Snyman.
He'd fucking do it too. He's 6'4". He'd do it.
Stop, lads. But sorry, Bowden Barrett played here for a while, didn't he? Sorry, they all used to come here, didn't they?
Their father leased a farm. I don't know, did he do a farm swap because he's a dairy farmer, and he did a farm swap. I remember reading it years ago, and they took a farm in Meath for 10 months, and the boys all went to school, and what they couldn't understand was the other youngsters wearing shoes. That's how cultured them lads are. Like, that's all three. Geordie, Bowden, and who's the big second row? What's his brother's name? Oh, Jesus. It's late at night, people. I know people are shouting at their phone right now. Brendan Barrett.
No, it's not Brendan.
I'm thinking Brodie Retallick. I want to say Broden Barrett.
Brodie Retallick as well. ROG Button. Button Barrett.
Buttons Barrett. But apparently they couldn't work out. What are these youngsters all doing wearing shoes and socks into school? Huh? What's that about? So they apparently tried a bit of Gaelic football and stuff. They were probably class, you know.
Yeah,
And it was only
telling those stories.
it was only 10 months. And sure, what? Of course, he's like, it's not that he would have given a shit where he's going, like, but of course he's going to go. Why would you not go to Leinster when they ask you? Like, but it's, I mean, fair or not fair, they have so much extra cash because of all the centrally contract. For anybody wondering, the people with a centrally contracted contract, it's not everybody that's on the Ireland team. There's only a handful, but that contract is fulfilled by the RFU. Leinster Rugby then pay everybody else. And if you have 12 of your players centrally contracted, the other three that are on the pitch, those are the only lads you have to pay. Whereas what we were saying, say in the Ulsters,
That's right.
yeah, yeah,
That's not how it works, is it?
that's how it works. That's how I heard it being spoken about on a podcast the other night. Anyway, when they were discussing Ian Henderson being the only central, because they were talking about Kitchoff, being released or whatever, and they were saying he would have been a ball of money to get in the first place. And they were saying like Leinster are able to do it so easy because they don't have to pay as many buys. They just don't have to pay as many buys.
They don't have to pay them as much, because I know that with the English girls, for example, and I imagined that it worked the same for the Irish central contracts, is that the RFU gives the girls their salary that are contracted to England, and then the club will offer you whatever to keep you at their club.
Fair enough. That must be fair. Let's say that's the
Even
only
though
thing.
If you're at Leinster, you're not going to go anywhere.
No, you
else
ain't going
you're not
anywhere.
going
Like
money.
that's the only thing. Like, where are you going? Like, you're not going anywhere. But you might be. Yeah, you're probably right. But at least it's subsidized. The wage is subsidized.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, true.
But in positive news, to wrap up on a positive podcast, Peter O'Mahony signed for another year. Let's go with that anyway.
Yeah. No, that's great. He's definitely just as good as Jordy Bird. Sorry, joking. I feel like I've been like shitting on Peter O'Mahony. I love fucking Peter O'Mahony.
Jordy Barrett's only coming for 6 months to get a ball of money, get the inside track, and just go back, running back to New Zealand again. He's only 27. Sure, it's a class. Imagine a class 6 months. Get fucking Ireland and eat fish and chops for fucking 6 months.
Yeah, fuck's sake.
Ireland to win by 3 points. I'm just saying it. I'm putting it out there. I don't care if I have to eat crow next week, but
if we've got if we score some tries, I'll be fucking happy. And we kind of make England look a little bit normal. I'd be happy with that.
Other than that, what a fantastic win. I suppose mind the rucks.
Mind the rucks, lads.
It's the Banana and Bears Rugby Pod.